Welcome back to Reading Bear. Today, we will take a look at some new malicious compliance stories. And if you enjoyed my content, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and post some bear emojis in the comments. Let's go!
First one is titled, Won't Approve Vacation Time. That's cool, how about paid sick leave? From a medic in the pre-pandemic times. We do our scheduling 2 months in advance for work, since most people have multiple jobs and EMS isn't the kind of job that can just hang up, be back in 15, sign on the door. So after diligently working for my company for over a year, I finally wanted to use some of my vacation days I accrued. Issue was there's like 8 levels of management, so it's hard to get things approved when we work overnights and management works business hours. I ask my supervisor to approve some vacation time several months out. He says to try and trade shifts with an employee so no one has to take actual time off. I don't care, so long as I get my trip, so I book my flight and try to trade my shifts. 2 months out from my flight, no one traded for my shifts and my supervisor won't approve vacation time. So I talk to his boss, same story. Try to get a shift trade, says he can't approve vacation time. I say I'm still going on my trip. 1 month out from the trip, no changes, supervisor and his boss can't approve my time. And at this point they say the schedule is set and I'm stuck with my shift since no one would take a trade. So I call their boss, and she says it's too late to do anything about it. 2 weeks till my flight, no coworker wanted to trade for my shifts. No manager 3 tiers up would approve vacation time. So I call our dispatch center and call out as if I was emergently sick, but 2 weeks advanced notice. Legally dispatch can't ask questions, and the dispatcher just chuckled realizing I was calling out sick in advance, and just pulled me off the schedule. Not 3 minutes later I get a phone call from the highest up manager I've ever spoken to. She says I can't call out sick 3 shifts in a row 2 weeks in advance. I'm like ducking bet, what are you gonna do about it? I mention all my email correspondence with other manager refusing to approve vacation time and say I'm just gonna call out since I'm not being allowed to use my time. She drops a threat, well if you call out 3 consecutive shifts you'll need to go to occupational medicine and get approved to come back to work from a long illness. Without skipping a beat I go, well my flight back gets in real late Tuesday, so might as well pull me off the Wednesday shift too and make it an even 4 days since I won't be able to get to OMS that day. We have a long silent pause on the phone. Well, next time just call me first. I'll approve the vacation time. Don't worry about OMS and don't miss that Wednesday shift. A nice little victory of mine against a giant healthcare corporation, since they wouldn't approve my vacation days but they can't question my sick days if I'm willing to take them. Edit update, same job just offered instantly approved overtime with a $100 bonus to anyone picking up a shift this week. I'm debating calling out of my own shift to try and pick up another shift for the bonus $100. Next one is titled, You Want Me In? Okay then. This happened 12 to 15 years ago. My ex-boss was a bully. I took the official route and he lost his job in the end for breaking pregnancy laws. Around this time I kept getting really bad ear infections in my ears. I was told I can still work. Important to note that I'm deaf and wear 2 hearing aids, without 'em I hear nothing. So he had me on a freezing snowy day stand outside running a stand about the environmental work that was due to be carried out. I had a bad ear and a cold already. By the end of the day I couldn't feel my feet. Steel toe cap boots work made us wear. Boss told me it was my fault not drinking hot drinks. I only like cold drinks. Next day was Saturday, and I spent the day in the warmth of my flat trying to get better, but my ear was killing me. So I called our out of hours NHS and told me to go to the treatment center. Was seen and got told that I had a very nasty ear infection and gave me antibiotics. Woke up Sunday to my ear, twice its normal side, burning, and half my face numb. I knew I was in a bad way. Drove myself to A&E at 1 AM. All they could do at the time was give me pain meds and make me comfortable until the ear specialist comes in on the Monday morning. Several hours go by and by then I can't move my jaw. My ear is swollen shut. My ear was so badly infected that I was admitted onto the ward with a drip of antibiotics, a wick in my closed ear. I passed out when they did this, to put antibiotics in the ear and a morphine pump. Anyhow, after 2 weeks I was back at work in front of my boss and the HR lady as I had gone over my 10 sick days allowance. I was in hospital for over a week, doesn't matter, and you should still come into work if you have a bad ear. I said I do, but if both flares up I can't come in. I work outside with the public. HR lady said that be fine, we give you office work, phone duties. I said you want me to come in when I can't wear my hearing aids and do phone duties. Both her and the boss said yes. Okay, fine then. Signed the paperwork to say that we had this chat, etc. I was angry as I felt he had caused me to be in hospital, and they don't just keep you in for the sake of it. Sure enough, the following month both ears flared up and I couldn't wear both hearing aids. It was scary for me to leave my home not being able to hear, but I had to follow their rules. Got into the office, told boss my ear's gone bad again, but I'm here. I was told later I had shouted. Boss said something. I decided not to lip read. I wasn't making it easy for him. I kept shouting, "What you say?" a few times, and then he wrote, "Go to the desk over there and deal with any phone queries." Okay. So I sat there, staring at the phone waiting for it to ring. After a couple of hours, the phone hasn't rung. Boss came over and started talking to me, red in the face. I looked at him puzzled and said, "What did you say?" He looked so angry and wrote down, "Why aren't you answering the phone?" I looked back at him and said, "Well, I haven't heard it rung yet." Swear he had steam coming out of his ears. I got sent back home as I was a health and safety risk. Apparently the phone had been ringing off the hook the whole time, but of course I couldn't hear it ringing. Seriously, asking a deaf person who can't wear their hearing aids to do phone duties. Thankfully only had one more hospital-induced ear infection since, and strangely after having my tonsils removed after way too many tonsillitis, I haven't had one ear infection. Next one is titled, All or Nothing. 2 years ago I applied for my current rental home, and got it. As per the rules from the rental corporation, I met with the previous renter to arrange what elements in the home I'd want to take over and what had to be restored to original. Ground rules are that a renter has to restore a house to the original state upon leaving, unless old and new can come to an agreement. The risk for the new renter in taking over things is that they're then responsible for fixing it when they leave. I have to mention there was a lot changed to the house from the original state. At first it all seemed fine. She was nice and reasonable. Really the only thing I was interested in taking over was the wooden floor downstairs. The thing she seemed to not want to do most was removing the carpet from the stairs and bedrooms. So we were going to compromise that I'd take over both. Even though I didn't want the carpet, I'd remove it myself. There were a few other things I didn't mind staying and fixing myself, but the main thing I wasn't willing to budge on was the 2 walls they had removed in a non-constructional safe way. So she'd had to restore those. We had mostly reached an agreement via text, and we arranged a date, time to finalize some details and sign the agreement. When I got there she completely changed her tune and told me it was gonna be all or nothing. I was flabbergasted for a second, tried to reason with her and give her some more things I'd take responsibility for, but she wouldn't budge. So in the end I told her it was going to be nothing. That was clearly not the outcome she was hoping for, because she basically kicked me out. She had me take of a day of work and made an hour drive just for that. After that she had about 4 weeks to restore the house. She really screwed herself on that one, because I saw how she left it for the corporation and how much they had to fix to restore the house, which she got the bill for. She was very petty about it, even taking every last stone and plant from the yard. Her malicious complaisance, I guess. Next one is titled, But You Paid for Lunch? So in the state I live we have strict labor laws that require companies to give employees 30-minute breaks every 5 hours worked, or else they can get in trouble with the state and get fined. Also, a break is defined as nothing work-related that the employee can rest. Important fact. So this happened Thursday. The department I work in needed to do a consultation meeting at a time where everybody could be present. The time happened to be during my scheduled lunch break. Mind you, my schedule is full with clients before and after the meeting, with no wiggle room. So we met for lunch to do our meeting. Everybody gets their lunch and the meeting starts. As we are eating we are discussing different cases and how we will proceed with these cases. Meeting ends 5 minutes before I have a meeting with my next client. So technically I never had a break, hence not clocking out for lunch. I knew that the following morning HR would contact me because my timesheet showed that I never clocked out for lunch. HR, did you forget to clock out? Me, nope, I did not have a lunch. HR, but you had one scheduled. Me, yes, that is true. However, CEO and director scheduled a mandatory meeting during that time, so I had to participate. HR, oh, well, did you take any breaks? Me, no, because my schedule was full and there was no time to take breaks. HR, okay, you're good. I heard the CEO complain later because they have to pay me time and half of overtime for not taking a break, but HR telling the CEO that I, the employee, was correct and that even though the CEO paid for lunch, it was still work time because it was a mandatory meeting. I could have sworn CEO snarled at me yesterday. Next one is titled, Exception Request. You got it. I have a story from my previous job function that you guys may enjoy. I work for a major company in the US, and this company handles accounts for many different businesses. In my previous function, I was partially charged based with one of our transaction types, known as an exception request. If you submit for it per company policy, this removes everyone on the profile able to make changes and puts this new person in as the only one able to make changes. Note, these changes cannot be rolled back and has to be done manually. Normally this isn't a big problem if the person submits their requests right, but not everyone is competent enough or cares to read policies to determine if what they're submitting for is exactly what they need. Well, these agents who chat in are often extremely unresponsive. I have a habit of asking, was your request submitted the correct way and this exception is what you want, and they next to never reply. On numerous times, sometimes even by the same people, they would submit this exception request. I ask if they're sure and get no answer. Well, we are told to continue forward unless they specifically say no. So I process their request exactly as they submitted. They'll oftentimes come back and be like, oh my gosh, I did not tell you to remove anyone, and I say, you didn't, but your request type was an exception and per this policy this is what happens. Sometimes I get them asking me to undo what I did and explain to them they would have to provide contact details for the removed individuals and I'll add them bad, and they usually disconnect chat right after it happens. The best example of this is a profile that had several hundred people in the removed roles. Agent chats in and form is submitted as exception request. I confirm it was submitted right, this one says yes. Perfect. I get into the flow, delete everyone and put this one person on. While I'm doing all of it, they're asking me what's taking so long and I advise them, system latency. After I finished what I was doing, asked them to refresh and the dude started typing, then stopped, then started again. Next thing I know, I'm bombarded with a message just chewing me out and asking if I know what the hell I'm doing. I said, yes, and I asked you if you submitted your request correctly, to which you said yes. He loses it on my telling me I need to undo what I just did, to which I asked him for the names, emails, phone numbers, and roles for everyone just removed, and he loses it again, typing in all caps, how the hell am I going to give you all that? That's almost 200 people you removed. I said, yes, removed because of your submitted request that you confirmed is correct, so if you provide the details I can add them back, but letting you know adding people takes substantially longer than removing and replacing, and I have to keep you in chat while I work on this. The guy replies back saying I wasted his time and I'm the reason that we'll lose this large account. The whole time this is going on, my manager is behind me watching because I'm hysterically laughing over it. I showed him what was said, what the request was, what I did, and the agent's information in the company directory. Sent it to him via email for CYA. Sure enough, a couple hours later I'm pulled into a meeting with my manager for a formal meeting because a complaint was lodged from the customer. We reviewed the chat, reviewed everything I did, and that was discussed between the agent and myself. It was found I was 100% in the clear, all because of that one question at the beginning asking if they submitted their request correctly. Next one is titled, Kitchen Witch and Karen. I worked in a pub and steakhouse from 07 to 10 as a cook. I am a chef by trade but just wanted a slower kitchen for a change of pace. Now this pub has been running in the same spot for almost 50 years and is a very popular place to eat even if nothing has been changed since 1975, 100% no exaggeration. It was an open kitchen concept, meaning the customers could see in the kitchen and I could see everyone. There were very few entitled people there, and when there was, they were shut down hard. This time I was going to have fun. In this, the only people who matter are me, Shelley, food server per bartender, Karen and her sister, even though she never said anything, and Fred, a daily regular. For some time Karen and her sister had been coming to the pub for something to drink and a game of pool and 2 pounds of the hottest wings. For about 3 weeks they seemed content until Karen said to Shelley the wings weren't hot enough. I took the wings and cooked new ones and made a hot sauce that was much hotter than the last store-bought stuff. I watched her try a wing and sent them back with Shelley again. Again I tried to please her by making the hottest stuff I was allowed to make in the kitchen by kitchen boss's rules. We were only allowed to send food out no more than 6,000 to 8,000 Scoville. The register of hotness of peppers. Shelley takes the wings to her, but this time I put the hot sauce on the side and she still sent them back. Time for the MC. I have a hot sauce bought by one of the regulars called Trinidad Scorpion Hot Sauce. He saw the wings go out then back a few times, then hollered across the pub, "Use my scorpion sauce," and winked at me. Trinidad Scorpion sauce is rated at 1.2 to 1.8 million Scoville. Some of the hottest on the planet. I filled up a ramekin halfway and dribbled it all over the rest of her wings. I sent Shelley with those to her with the message there will be no more wings sent to them because they were starting to cost the kitchen money. Karen took a big bite of wing, chewed it up and swallowed. As she bit in a second time she felt the sting of the scorpion. She spat out the bite she took and was gasping for air and grabbing whatever was closest to try to wipe her tongue off. I had walked over with dry white bread and coffee cream and gave it to her and told her it will only stop the pain a little, but it is going to burn and hurt for another hour or so. Then I hit her with the question, "Are they hot enough this time?" I wasn't yelled at, nor was my manager asked for. But she ate 4 slices of bread and drank a full liter of coffee cream straight from the jug and emptied it. She tried gaining composure to walk out the door but ended up needing her sister's help because she couldn't see with all the tears in her eyes. I yelled behind her that the wings were not being charged for and I won't charge her for the bread or creamer either, and laughed to myself as they walked out. Fred ended up eating the rest of the wings left over. They did come back many other times. But when they did, the hot sauce that got put on the wings in the first place was good enough. I never got another complaint. Next one is titled, "The gate is everyone's property but it's our responsibility to fix it if it's damaged." Sure, let's remove it. So this happened to us a few months ago. We live in a private street that every resident own and share, and as such there's a steel gate on each side. The street, and the gate, is the association residents' property. Association my father never joined, obviously. The gate was damaged, and since there's a school nearby, the residents asked it to be fixed as it was a liability for children. But if it was everyone's property, since it was right next our house, it was our responsibility to deal with it. Read, we have to pay for it because, just do it. So my father received the mail, agreed that the gate was a liability and had it removed by professionals. The others residents were furious, but it was their own word who declared the gate dangerous and my father's responsibility, so there was nothing they could do about it. They can now enjoy their not-so-private street. Next one is titled, "Want me to put away the dishes?" Well, don't say I didn't warn you. This happened a few years ago. My mother called me down to come put the dishes away from in the dishwasher. I hated the dishwasher, it never really cleaned anything. There'll be little bits of food still inside most of the bowls and on the plates. Usually I set the dirty dishes aside and run them through again when I'm done, but my mother hates that I do this, insisting that the dishes are still sterilized even if there are still bits of food. My mother was also in the kitchen making dinner for us and some family friends we had coming over. I started pulling dishes out and realized they were really dirty inside, and it would just be better to run the whole thing through again. My mum lost it and started accusing me, saying I was just trying to get out of work as always. My dad also saw the dishes but didn't want to contradict my mum as they had been fighting recently and just kept silent. I said duck it and put the dishes away anyways. Later that night when our family friends came over, they were disgusted by the dishes, which honestly looked like if we had never washed them after eating spaghetti the night before. After not being able to find any clean dishes, we had to run them through again and wait for the wash cycle to finish. They never came over to eat at our house again and always insisted on either meeting somewhere or eating at their house. I have a whole bunch of stories like this involving my mother, so if you'd like, I can add more. Edit. To everybody saying that I need to rinse the dishes before putting them in the dishwasher, I know. Every time I load the dishwasher I rinse the food off, but I'm not always the one to do it. Typically my mother does it and I empty. She has a very specific system that makes literally no sense, and if you don't follow the system you can expect to be yelled at. Because of this no one else wants to fill the dishwasher unless expressly asked by her, even then you'll probably be yelled at. Last on is titled, So the Order is Gospel. I work at a mammogram clinic. Recently our company has decided to use ICD-10 codes for all orders. This is actually probably a good idea, but the way it was presented was, this is due to the many errors the mammo techs have been making. Not a good start. The orders we get from doctors' offices are frequently wrong. The person writing the code either isn't aware of their meaning or doesn't care. Probably a little of both. Anyway, upon finding said errors we asked our supervisor what we should do. Our boss then took the problem to the higher-ups, who told her that the doctor's orders shouldn't have wrong codes. We legally can't change an order, so we were told to use the incorrect codes, then add the real code in at the end. Enter me, resident smartass. I take them at their word. The order is gospel. Left mass found in upper extremity? Sure. Clinical history or depression? Why not? High-risk sexual behavior? You got it. Then one day the most glorious order came in. Not 1, not 2, but 3 completely incorrect codes. General gynecologic exam, consultation for an IUD and insertion of IUD. Perfect. Knowing that our doctor hates clutter and wants clinical text to have as few words as possible, diligently enter all 3 codes. Being the responsible mammo tech that I am, then put the real diagnosis code, left breast mass, at the end. I was not around for this conversation, but apparently the doctor was not happy. He got into it with our lead tech, who said I followed company policy. This is what I was supposed to do. A few days later we had a meeting where we were told to only input one incorrect code followed by the real code. Thanks for listening.